This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, it is now Tuesday. Let me tell you what's going on today. All right, usually we don't really lead off too much, at least for this show, with baseball. Okay, we will be doing that today. Gary Sanchez is the reason why I will be leading off with baseball today. All right. I mean, I'll save my thoughts on him once we get the show going and started. All right. But either way, we'll be talking about him in the first segment, talking about yesterday's scores and all that too, give a little overview. Okay. Second segment, I want to talk about Todd Gurley. He got a new deal. All right. We'll talk about that, him getting an extension along with any other NFL news. Kawhi Leonard was reported today that the Jordan brand wouldn't be renewing their endorsement deal with him after this season, so I'll give my thoughts on that. All right, and then for the fourth segment, we will be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports, as we always do. All right. But either way, like I said, we start off with Gary Sanchez and all. Right now, the Yankees are, well, at least they were, in a tight race with the Celtics for the lead in the AL East, okay? And, I mean, after the All-Star break, and I guess right before that, the Yankees kind of been slumping. All right, right now, they're 6 games back of Boston. Boston's on an absolute tear. It's a bit ridiculous, and we'll talk a little bit about them later on. But nonetheless, yeah, they're 6 games back of Boston. So, in reality, it's going to be tough to make up that ground. And, just given the fact that Boston's doing stuff that we're seeing for the first time, at least for that team. Okay, and I just think right now, the Yankees are at a point in their season where You need whoever the leader on that team is to step up and to call them out. And I'm not saying throw guys under the bus, but nonetheless, wake them up a bit, okay? Because, there was a point where the Yankees were just right there with the Red Sox, both the best teams in baseball, both looking to have probably some of the greatest seasons in the history of baseball as far as wins. Okay, I remember at one point the Yankees were on pace to win like 110 or whatever, and the Red Sox also. All right? But nonetheless, now, like I said, we're at this point in the season where it's looking like the Yankees could either implode or you get an Aaron Judge, maybe a guy who's been there like Brett Gardner, to go out and pretty much hold a players-only meeting. Okay? Because, yesterday, basically the basis of this segment is just about Gary Sanchez. All right? I was watching the Yankees game yesterday, them playing the Rays, and you can honestly say that the guy was responsible for the loss, okay? Realistically, you can go out and point to other reasons why the Yankees ended up losing that game, but there's just mistakes by Gary Sanchez where they're easily avoidable, okay? Gary Sanchez last year hit, I think it was 278. His OPS was 876. This year he's hitting 188, all right? His OPS is 699 right now. Obviously, that's not great. The dude was a Silver Slugger winner before. Okay? And I'm not a Yankees fan or anything like that, but nonetheless, seeing what their fans have been saying, I saw Joe Girardi's name coming up. Okay? Because, let's talk about what Gary did. Okay? So yesterday, Gary Sanchez catching against the Rays, and Gary Sanchez isn't the best defensive catcher in baseball. If anything, I think we could say he's the worst. Okay? The amount of pass balls this guy gives up is a bit ridiculous. Okay? But nonetheless, yesterday there's a pass ball. All right, Severino's pitching, and he gets crossed up. Well, Sanchez gets crossed up. I think he's expecting a fastball. Severino ends up throwing him a slider or a breaking ball, whatever it was. Okay? And the ball bounces off Sanchez and goes to the left side of the baseline, meaning goes toward third base, okay? Obviously on the foul side, but nonetheless, you get the point. All right, you can see Sanchez is kind of looking for it, And once he sees it, he's jogging towards it. All right. You may think at this point, if you didn't see the game, oh, that doesn't sound too bad. I mean, what's the big deal here? Well, there's a guy at second, all right, for the Rays. Since it's a pass ball, he's taking third, and he sees Sanchez is basically lollygagging to the baseball. It was ridiculous, okay? Honestly, ridiculous. He's jogging to the baseball like nothing is going on right here, all right? The Rays player running from second to third realizes that. You can see him look, and then he turns on the Jets, rounds third, and ends up going home, all right? Sanchez, once he sees him rounding third, starts running to the ball, but nonetheless, it's a bit late, okay? He was literally had about 10 more feet to get to the baseball, all right? He was jogging that slow to it, all right? He ends up picking it up, throwing it to Luis Severino at home, but nonetheless, they can't come up with it, so the Rays get a run there, okay? Whatever, it's a little lapse in judgment or whatnot, whatever you want to call it, okay? He's not, how do you say? It's a mistake, okay? It's a mind lapse, all right? Nothing, whatever, hustle after that, you're fine. So we get down to the last part of the game, all right? We're in the ninth, and Yanks got the bases loaded, okay? Sanchez is up. Yankees are down 1 run, 7-6. And of course, like I said, right now, they're currently 6 games back of Boston. You don't really want to lose any more ground, just given the fact that Boston has, like I said, been on an absolute tear. All right. So it's bases loaded. Sanchez is up, and he ends up hitting a grounder. All right. Hits it to the middle of the infield. Shortstop picks it up and tosses it over to second, but they don't get the out in time, the force there. Okay. Like I said, it was bases loaded. All right. So them not getting the out at second should mean they're going to get a run, because obviously you're throwing it to second. That's going to take time. You already had Sanchez running down the line before that. Okay? So you see, they don't get the out at second. You're assuming, oh, Yankees are going to tie this up. They end up throwing it to first. Sanchez is literally 10 feet away from the first base bag still. Okay? And they end up getting out the Rays. Game's over. Sanchez is hustling. Game's tied. All right. And, I mean, now the Yankees, like after that, the Yankees are trying to, they're not trying, but nonetheless, Sanchez is going on the DL. Okay. Sanchez is going on the DL because they're saying that he tweaked an old groin injury. Okay. I don't buy that one bit. This DL stint is for Gary Sanchez to basically get his head on straight, because the dude, I mean, it's ridiculous how lazy he was in one game yesterday. Okay. Like I said, they're trying to play this off as if it's a groin injury or whatever. That's not the case at all, okay? Because if you see the replay, as soon as he hits the ground ball, the dude's not even digging out of the batter's box. He basically takes his time. He's jogging. Once he sees that the Rays didn't get the out at second, then he turns on the Jets, but by then it's too late. Okay? There was no indication of a groin injury there. He wasn't limping or anything like that. All right? And I highly doubt that if he's got a groin injury, he's going to turn on the Jets the way that he did. Okay? And even then, so if he does have a groin injury, but nonetheless is willing to run a little bit faster, even though that might put him in pain, when he's out, all he does is throw his helmet. You don't look at him wincing. He's not wincing or anything like that. Okay? So don't give me this whole he tweaked his groin or whatever, because I'm not buying that one bit. All right? But nonetheless, I brought up Joe Girardi earlier because I was seeing Yankees talking about how this wouldn't be happening with Girardi. And if it would, Sanchez would get see the bench or get sent down. Okay, and I think that was one of the biggest reasons why Girardi ended up getting fired last season. After last season, I mean, the team made it to the ALCS. Okay. Girardi got fired because he wouldn't baby Gary Sanchez. Okay? He'd call him out and let him know, no, this isn't how we play the big game over here in New York. Okay? Gary Sanchez, you could tell, has a little sense of entitlement by the way he plays. Okay? A guy who's going out there and wants to do everything for his team is going to hustle to that pass ball. Is going to do whatever he can not to be the last out of the game. Especially considering the fact that if you're safe, okay? If you're safe, you guys tie it up. All right? And you even had him and Luis Severino after the inning ended where they got crossed up or whatever. Severino's giving Sanchez a little piece of his mind. All right, it's not more so Sanchez going back at him, but I feel like it was one where Severino's basically telling him, like, you can't be doing that. All right, And like I said, right now, the Yankees, they're at the point where they can implode or they could pick it back up. This is a real good team here. Okay, of course, the trade deadline might need to pick up another starting pitcher or whatever, but nonetheless, they need to be better. All right, and you're looking after the game, seeing what's Aaron Boone going to say? Is he going to call him out, or is he just going to basically brush it off? Aaron Boone brushed it off. All right, basically saying that I need to look at the tape, I need to rewatch it a few times or whatever. Like, there's nothing to rewatch. All right, the Rays literally tried to get the force at second. Okay, couldn't get that, and still had time, okay? Like a decent amount of time to get Sanchez out at first. If I'm Boone, well, obviously now Sanchez is going to the DL, but if I'm Boone, I'm sitting Sanchez if we're not sending him to the DL. All right, at least for a few games. Yankees can't be having this. All right, you traded for Stanton this season. Judge is a superstar. The Yankees need to be at the top. Okay? And it's kind of like a little yin and yang type of thing. Like, you see Aaron Boone not really getting on Sanchez or anything like that in the press conference. And then on the other side of things over in Boston, right, you have Rafael Devers, who for some reason can't run the bases well. Okay? Constantly running into outs. After the game, Alex Cora basically calls him out and says that it's going to be addressed and he's going to have a nice talking with him. All right? And I even think you have other players talking to Rafael Devers as far as his mistakes. That's what you need in a manager, okay, to hold players accountable. It's a long season. All right? But nonetheless, like I said, he's going to the DL. And funny enough, you got the Yankees backup catcher who I think won the Hustle and Heart award for that team. Okay? Literally the next day after Sanchez pulled all this. But nonetheless, I mean, he's got to figure it out. He's not a bad player by any means. Is he a great catcher? No, he's terrible as a defensive catcher. He's awful. Okay? Can he hit the ball? Yeah. This season, obviously, that hasn't been happening. But nonetheless, I do think maybe he'll get back to his old ways. Okay? But it's just a matter of he's got to get himself there. So that's all I got to say about that. Nonetheless, let's talk about the other games that went on Monday. All right, so speaking of the Red Sox, they beat the Orioles 5-3. Red Sox currently 71-31. Let's see, the Dodgers beat the Phillies 7-6. The Minnesota Twins beat the Blue Jays 8-3. The Pirates ended up winning in 6 innings. All right, 7-0 to the Indians due to rain. The Reds ended up beating the Cardinals 2-1. The Padres beat the Mets 3-2. It's ridiculous, the Mets. I mean, I have not seen a dumpster fire like this in quite some time. All right, the Braves beat the Marlins 12-1. Like I said, the Rays beat the Yankees 7-6. Diamondbacks beat the Cubs 7-1. All right, we had the A's, who, I mean, another team which has been absolutely ridiculous, who won 15-3 against the Rangers. The Tigers beat the Royals 5-4. Brewers beat the Nationals 6-1. White Sox beat the Angels 5-3. All right, so that's how yesterday's games went down. But nonetheless, the story of the day over in the MLB was Gary Sanchez's lack of hustle. Okay, so we'll see if this DL stint's going to get him back on track. But nonetheless, I mean, it's ridiculous how, I mean, you got a player who's not giving his all for the team. So we'll see what ends up happening. But nonetheless, we're going to wrap it up here. So stay tuned for the next segment.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. I want to open up this second segment just giving my thoughts on the fact that the running back position is definitely the most disrespected position in all of football. Okay, it's ridiculous. So we're going to be talking about Todd Gurley getting his deal. We'll talk about Le'Veon Bell. Julio Jones is holding out, so we'll talk about that too. But nonetheless, that first segment, we spent it basically. I ripped Gary Sanchez there, all right? It was ridiculous, the lack of hustle that he was giving out there, all right? Someone needs to hold him accountable, and the Yankees really got to get it back together, okay? Because otherwise they're going to fall deeper and deeper behind Boston. And, I mean, you don't want to play a win-or-go-home game against this A's team who is just looking like one of the best teams in baseball right now, or even the Mariners. Okay? I mean, the Yankees would be the favorites to win those games, obviously, either of those games, obviously, but nonetheless, I mean, it's baseball. You can't predict baseball. Okay? That's just the way it goes. Baseball is the most unpredictable sport in the world. It's ridiculous. All right, so there's no guarantee that the Yankees would even be able to get past those two teams if they had to play either in a wild card game. All right, so that's why I say, I mean, they got to pick it up because you don't want to have to play in that game. So we'll see how it goes down for them. I mean, we still got a lot of the season left, and I'm sure they're going to figure it out. All right, but either way, the Rams seem to want to pay everyone besides Aaron Donald. I don't have a problem with it, but nonetheless, it's a bold move. Okay, you pay Brandon Cooks first, a guy who you traded for this offseason, and now you pay Todd Gurley, which I have no problem with. Okay, Todd Gurley ended up getting a 4-year, $60 million extension. All right, and as far as the guaranteed money, $45 million. Okay. Most guaranteed money for a running back ever. I think Adrian Peterson has the second highest at $36 million. And funny enough, Saquon Barkley's got the third most guaranteed money for a running back ever. All right. I mean, this guy better be the best thing since sliced bread, because otherwise, I mean, it's going to be a little bit ridiculous, all the hype and money that he's getting. All right. And like I said, I have no problem with Saquon Barkley getting paid $31 million. Okay. There's a point where, I mean, you get your money, but as a team, that's a lot for a guy who hasn't played one snap. Okay. So there's that. Todd Gurley getting his extension. I like it for the Rams. Gurley, one of the best running backs in the league. For me, I'd say he's the fourth best running back. All right, I'd put him behind Ezekiel Elliott, David Johnson, and Le'Veon Bell. Okay? But even then, so, I mean, he's up there in that tier with those guys. Okay, so this is a good move for the Rams. I mean, now we're at the age where, yeah, you're going to have your franchise quarterback and all, but quarterbacks aren't what they used to be as of right now. Okay, that little, from, I guess, the early 2000s to, I guess, this point, we're blessed enough to see a bunch of Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Eli Manning, okay, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers. Who else am I missing? All right, I'm not going to name them all, but nonetheless, I know I'm missing some. We got Aaron Rodgers, okay? Now we're at the point where the quarterbacks coming in at this time, this new generation of quarterbacks don't have that talent, all right? They'll be decent quarterbacks and all that, but nonetheless, we have very few who are going to become Hall of Famers, okay? These quarterbacks are guys who need weapons around them to have the best possibility to succeed, all right? Peyton Manning could make me look like a decent receiver out there, so could Tom Brady. All right, so I think this is a good move for the Rams, obviously because of the fact that you got Jared Goff, who I'd say he's not going to ever be on that Tom Brady or Peyton Manning level, so you get a running back there who it's going to open it up a little bit more for Jared Goff. All right, you're not going to have 6 DBs out there. You're going to more so seeing them stack the box against the Rams. All right, talking about opposing teams. So this makes it even better for Jared Goff. I'm sure he's happy about it. And plus, I mean, you run the offense through Todd Gurley, it's going to take a lot of pressure off Jared Goff. All right, but like I said, I mean, now I'm sure Aaron Donald is just watching this all unfold like, oh, they really going to do me like this. Okay? I think that Aaron Donald won't be a Ram after this season. And I just think it's a point where, I mean, we've seen Ndamukong Suh, the contract he got with the Dolphins. Okay? It's a ridiculous amount of money. You pay Aaron Donald all that money, you're going to have to let some other guys go. Okay? So, I mean, is Aaron Donald worth it? Yeah, he's one of the best defensive tackles in football, but there's a point where this could, okay, set you back a little bit as far as cap space and money goes if you're the Rams. All right, so they got to be smart with this. All right, but nonetheless, I like the deal for Todd Gurley, and Poor Le'Veon Bell. Okay. I mean, the deal he ended up getting an offer from the Steelers, people will look at it on the surface and see, 5 years, $70 million. Le'Veon's is crazy for not taking that. All right. But the average fan doesn't realize the fact that it's not what the total worth is. It's what the guarantee is. Okay. The guaranteed money is what really matters. Okay. And with Le'Veon Bell's deal, what the Steelers offered him, it was 5 years, $70 million. But I saw that only about a little more than $10 million of it was actually guaranteed. Okay, it was kind of like Colin Kaepernick's deal with the 49ers. On the surface, Colin Kaepernick's deal with the 49ers looked like it was an absurd amount of money, when in reality, 49ers could cut him in any given offseason and they wouldn't have to pay him out the rest of his contract. That's what the Steelers offered Le'Veon Bell. Okay? And I mean, why on earth would you take that deal if you're Le'Veon Bell? All right, so I mean, right now you got Todd Gurley, who's got 45 guaranteed. Le'Veon Bell's going to be signing with some new team next season. He's going to be getting a little bit more than that, I assume. All right, Le'Veon Bell is going to be making a whole lot of money, and I mean, this is a good thing for the running back position. Okay. You got the running back position as of right now, like I said earlier in this segment, is the most disrespected in football. Okay, you get drafted. Sure, you'll get drafted in the first round if you're good enough. You'll make a decent amount, like a lot of money, like Saquon Barkley, if you get drafted high enough. But nonetheless, I mean, your lifespan in the NFL, if you're a running back as of right now, isn't going to last too long. Okay, it's look at this, okay? Todd Gurley is 23. I was seeing people on social media and on TV talking about the contract, basically saying that Todd Gurley probably has about 4 more years of top-tier football in him. The dude's 23, and we're already talking about how many years he's got left. Okay? People, like, it's I guess the consensus around the league is that basically running backs fall off once they hit 30. I don't necessarily believe that. I just think teams will look, okay, at a running back. He's 30. You're going to have to pay him a decent amount of money. All right? Or you can get rid of him, draft a running back, and pay him dirt cheap. All right? Because now we're at the point where teams don't need that workhorse back. Okay, you could have a couple of guys back there splitting time. So what's the point of paying a guy who, I mean, would be your every down back, but nonetheless, you're going to be paying him about double digit in the millions each year? Whereas you can go and draft a guy. If he works out, you don't really have to start paying him till it's like about 5 years into his career. Okay? So I don't buy that whole running backs drop off once they hit 30. I think it's just teams don't want to pay running backs once they hit 30. Okay? Because, I mean, you got LaShawn McCoy, who's 30 right now. Where's the drop-off there? All right? What has LaShawn McCoy showed us that he's slowing down at all? The dude is a top 5 running back in the league right now. At least that's my opinion. All right? I mean, where's the drop-off at? Frank Gore, who's 34 years old, is still putting up near 1,000-yard seasons. Okay? He's not the same running back he once was in San Francisco. Nonetheless, the dude's still up there in yards. Okay? He's 34 and he's just barely dropping off. So, I mean, like I said, that whole theory about running backs just pretty much being done after 30, that's because of the teams. That's not because of the players. All right? We shouldn't be talking about how many years Todd Gurley's got left. We should be talking about how much of a long career he's got left and what records he can break and all that. And same with Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell's 26. This is probably going to be the last big deal he ever gets. Okay, and then basically after that, it's going to be 1-year deals. And after maybe 1 or 2 1-year deals, then you're pretty much out the league. All right? It's ridiculous how poorly running backs get treated, I feel. I mean, it's probably the toughest position in football to play as far as the physicality and all that. I'd say the offensive line and defensive line are first, and then you got the running backs after, because every time you get the ball, about 9 times out of 10, you're going to get hit every single time. Okay? And there's just a point where, I mean, it's not great for your body taking hits every single play if you're getting the ball. Okay? So that's why I'm all for Le'Veon Bell looking to make as much money as he can. All right, people are getting mad at him saying he's greedy. Yeah, I guarantee you these fans won't be saying a thing, okay, once he's still got a lot of football left in him, but he's out the league because no one wants to sign a guy because he's 30. Okay? I'll never understand why. I can understand fans have their favorite teams and all, but I don't understand why fans are so against the players all the time. Okay? I think it has to do with the fact that these guys are making millions or whatever, and other fans are bitter. But that's a whole different conversation, and one where, like I said yesterday, your 9 to 5 isn't comparable to this job. Okay? It just simply isn't, so you just should never compare it. All right? But nonetheless, there's that, and then you got Julio Jones. Looks like he's going to be holding out in training camp. All right? And Julio Jones, he wants to get paid more, but the deal you signed with the Falcons at that time did make you the highest paid receiver in the league. Okay? Don't get mad at the Falcons because you're out of guaranteed money now in your contract. Now it's all incentivized and all that. Okay? Get mad at your agent. Obviously, he wasn't planning for the long term. Okay? So now Julio's holding out. He's got 3 more years left on his deal. So what? You think, is Julio gonna... there's no way the Falcons gave him a new deal. Okay? Absolutely no way. If they would, that's fine. I wouldn't be opposed to it. But nonetheless, it'd be idiotic for them to rework any type of deal with Julio before the season starts. They say they're willing to do it next season. All right? That's fine. All right? But there's a point, if you're Julio Jones, you got to realize you have absolutely zero leverage here. Okay? Everyone knows this is a bluff. Julio Jones, what, you missed training camp? Okay, you'll still be there week 1. Okay? You'll still be there suiting up week 1. Who cares if you're not there at training camp? Everyone knows what kind of receiver he is. Do you think the Falcons are really worried about it? Okay? It's not like Julio Jones is going to be on his couch all training camp. I'm sure he's going to be working out every day. All right? Well, of course, you got people saying they should pay Julio. Why? Why should they pay Julio? All right? People are going to say, oh, it's because of what he does for the team. It's a business. All right? That stuff doesn't matter. They'll cut you off easily. You got to think of at least watching the game as far as it being a business now. Because that's how it works. That's how it runs. Okay? And as far as business goes, it makes absolutely no sense for the Falcons to give him a pay raise or anything like that. Okay? And I think the Falcons are being good here by saying that, you know what? We'll rework your deal next season. All right? Next offseason. Well, more power to Julio. You want to sit out training camp, all right? Get fined $40,000 a day for not being there. Go ahead. Okay? Falcons aren't giving him a new deal, nor should they, as of right now. If it was the last year of his contract, yeah, you extend him. Yeah, you give him what he wants. The dude's got 3 years left on his contract. Like I said, don't get mad at the Falcons if you're Julio Jones. Get mad at your agent. Okay? He's the one who basically negotiated you to get all your money front-loaded on the first couple of years, and now you have no guaranteed money. Whose fault is that? It's not the Falcons. It's smart business by them. All right? So we'll see what ends up happening, but I highly, 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 highly doubt that the Falcons give him more money this offseason. All right? So we'll see what ends up happening, but nonetheless, we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking about Kawhi Leonard, so stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. Almost said this was the basketball one, but I do the basketball podcast on Wednesday, so make sure you check out the episode I got going on tomorrow. All right, shameless plug there. But either way, now we move over to basketball and we talk about basketball. Okay? Kevin Love, he got an extension with the Cavs. Good for Kevin Love here. All right, Kevin Love is basically Chris Bosh with Miami. Okay? Before they got to their new teams, probably one of the best at their position and were the first option. All right? They go to their new teams, they become the third option, and their numbers tend to dip. Okay, we saw that with Chris Bosh. I mean, Chris Bosh was amazing for Toronto. All right? He comes to Miami. Obviously, you're going to see the numbers dip when you're playing with Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. Okay, and for Kevin Love, I mean, the dude was putting up 20 games for fun. And you go to Cleveland, and you got to play behind Kyrie and LeBron. All right, and even this season, I mean, Love was hurt for a lot of it. So, I mean, he didn't really get to reap the benefits of being the second option this time. Okay. But nonetheless, yeah, he ended up getting a 4-year, $120 million extension from the Cavs. And it's looking like this is a deal where, I mean, he's going to get traded soon within the next couple of years. Okay. With Kevin Love, I mean, there's always talk about how good of a player he is as of right now. But nonetheless, he still is a very good player at the 4. Okay, there's a reason why the guy is continuing to make All-Star games. And I don't really put too much stock into All-Star games, but the NBA is one where if you're not performing, the fans aren't going to love you. And the fact that, I mean, Kevin Love is still making All-Star games shows that he's still doing a little something. Okay. This past season, I mean, he only played, 59 games, 17 points per game, 9 rebounds. I mean, what team can't use that right now? What team doesn't need that? All right. 2016 average 19 and 11. I mean, the dude is a double-double machine. Okay? Let's see. He's only played 10 seasons so far. He is... How old is he right now? He's got to be barely over 30 if he is. I'm assuming so. Okay, let me see if I can find that Wikipedia real quick, just so I can find his age. Because, I mean, he's 29 right now. Okay, so by the time this deal's up, he'll be 33. Kevin Love definitely will not be finishing this deal with the Cavs. Okay, Kevin Love still has a lot. And we're going to see, you know what, I'm excited for the Cavs this season. Okay, they're not going to win any games, but nonetheless, we're going to see the old Kevin Love, I think. All right, the Kevin Love who's a first option. The Kevin Love who is going to get his shots up. Okay, we might get Minnesota Kevin Love. All right. And that's even better for Kevin Love if he performs like that, because that's going to drive up his, it's good for the Cavs too, because that's going to drive up his trade value. All right. Plus, if you're Kevin Love, I'm sure you want to play for a contender. You already got a ring, but nonetheless, you want to get a couple more. All right. So, we'll see. Nonetheless, like I said, I do like the deal for Cleveland. I like it for Kevin Love. It's one where he stuck around, and he wasn't really much of a problem for the team or anything like that the last few years. I mean, we've seen stuff come out in Cleveland with Kyrie, all right? He didn't like being there. Last season with Isaiah Thomas there, I mean, the locker room was dysfunctional. Kevin Love, you've never really seen him too much in the stories, okay? So, yeah, I like the deal for him, and I think he's going to have a great season this year. I mean, it's not like the guy's an old player. He's been around for a while, but nonetheless, I mean, he's still on the right side of 30. Okay? So we'll see what he ends up doing. I mean, he could end up just getting traded this season. All right? And I kind of wonder, too, like, I'm sure that Cleveland giving him this extension kind of feel that, you know what, this is going to be a good contract to trade eventually. Okay? I think they're thinking more long-term, but Kevin Love, you think he's thinking signing this deal? Oh, yeah, I'm a Cleveland Cavalier for life. I'm never going anywhere. All right, I'm going to play here for the rest of my career. I mean, it's a little bit weird. I mean, we got you like you see SportsCenter, ESPN, Fox Sports, and all that talking about, oh, wow, yeah, this brings up his trade value a lot. This is going to be a good deal for the Cavs to trade away because someone's going to want to take it. All right, you think Kevin Love is thinking about that? Or do you think, like I said, his mindset is just, I'm going to play in Cleveland for the rest of my career with this deal? All right. I'm not sure, but I do think about that with players. I mean, we got Blake Griffin, who signed an extension with the Clippers last season, okay? Was going to be a Clipper for life. They had a whole big thing, okay? Put his banner up and all that, and they did probably the worst possible thing you could do. They shipped him to Detroit, okay? Imagine, you're going from L.A. to Detroit. No offense to Detroit, but, I mean, you don't compare to L.A. Honestly, don't compare to California as it is. But either way, I mean, yeah, I don't see Kevin Love finishing the rest of his contract here in Cleveland. But nonetheless, good for the guy. He's making money, and he deserves it. All right, Kevin Love, he's very underrated at this point in his career. I will say that. Okay, remember that Dwayne Wade contract I was talking about with China? I think I talked about a few episodes ago. Yeah, I guess they offered him 3-year, $25 million. Okay, to go play there. I don't think it's enough for Dwayne Wade. I don't know, because he's not getting that. Let me see the 3 years, $25 million total, I think. He doesn't get that with any team in the NBA, and he's getting a year. Okay? I mean, there's a point. You go to China, okay, and you, I'd say, could make a lot more money off of endorsements given the fact that he's got a endorsement deal with a Chinese shoe company out there. So we'll see what Dwayne Wade ends up doing. All right. But nonetheless, now we move on to the last part of this segment, and it's Kawhi Leonard. Okay. Kawhi Leonard, I'd say, has completely botched this whole offseason. Okay. And it might be Uncle Dennis's fault, but nonetheless, let's talk about it. All right. So the reason why I'm bringing up Kawhi once again is because of the fact that he's got an endorsement deal with Jordan, okay? His endorsement deal is up after this season. We saw that, they told us that he wanted to leave San Antonio so bad because of the way they handled his injury and all that. I'm not that naive. It's because the dude wants to get paid. You're a top 5 player in the NBA, arguably top 3, arguably top 2, all right? And you're not making that money. You're not even getting that Ben Simmons endorsement money. Okay? So many other guys making millions on top of millions, and you're not getting anywhere near that. And you're one of the best players in the league. Okay? I'm not going to buy that whole, it was injured and like what Tony Parker said narrative. The dude wants to get paid. Okay? Let's not act like these guys are playing basketball for millions of dollars. The goal is to get paid. Okay? That was the whole thing with Kawhi going to LA. It wasn't because he wanted to go play for his favorite team. It's because you go to LA, you're Kawhi Leonard. Okay? You're going to make so much money. All right? So yeah, don't give me this whole, Tony Parker hurt his feelings type of narrative. Okay? Because that's not it. Let's think a little bit harder about it. All right? But either way, I mentioned his endorsement deal with Jordan. Jordan says they're not going to be extending his deal. This is it after this year. Okay? Like I said, Kawhi Leonard has completely messed up this whole situation. He seemingly has turned himself into the biggest diva in the NBA without saying one word. Okay? It is ridiculous. All right? But nonetheless, it's a bit of a risky move for Jordan too. Okay? Not even a bit. It's a big risk. Because chances are, there still is the chance that Kawhi just goes to LA next season. Okay? You don't want to be a part of that. You already get the best player in the league there. All right? And you have the possibility of having the second best player in the league there. Arguably. I think it's between him and KD for number 2. All right? And even then, maybe he goes to the Clippers. Either way, he's in LA, and he's the face of a team. Okay? And Kawhi Leonard is good enough where you don't have to put superstars around him to succeed. Kawhi Leonard is the guy you could just build around and make him your main piece. All right. That's why I think Toronto is going to be, they're going to be better than last season. That's for sure. Okay. At least they should be. You basically replaced DeMar DeRozan with Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, you got rid of Jacob Poeltl, but I think you'll be fine there. The only thing that really scares me is the fact that they fired Dwayne Casey. All right. That's why I'm kind of skeptical on the Raptors right now. I think they're going to be good, but, I think you could have kept Dwayne Casey around and just did this DeMar DeRozan trade either way. All right? But nonetheless, like I said, it was a big panic move by them, the Raptors, firing Casey and trading DeMar. Because, fact of the matter is, there's no guarantee that Kawhi's going to be there after the season. All right? But yeah, Kawhi, and this is one thing, too, where you look at it as a fan and you need to realize that we don't know these players as much as we think we do. Okay, because the narrative since Kawhi's been in the league has been he's the next Tim Duncan, he's quiet, humble, just goes about his business, doesn't cause any trouble. All right? When in reality, that isn't really, he's a diva. All right? At least from what we've seen this offseason. Okay? If you want to go, he'd be better off if he did talk. All right? If Kawhi Leonard said, you know what, my time in San Antonio was great, but nonetheless, I want to go to a bigger market. I want to reap the benefits of playing there, okay, in a big market. I don't think he would have been a diva after that. All right? But as far as the stories of him working out in LA, rehabbing and all that, and the Spurs coming to talk to him, and basically his camp hiding him away from the Spurs, that's a diva move. All right? Especially considering the fact where your head coach is Greg Popovich. Why wouldn't you want to talk to Greg Popovich? I mean, I don't get that. All right? And like I said, you got his uncle, it seems, running the show for him. Okay? And that's a problem. I think that's one of the things with Markelle Fultz, why his jump shot was so bad. I think he was a trainer, but nonetheless, these guys listen to too many outside voices rather than their own. All right? Not everyone is going to try and help you. They're going to try and help themselves sometimes. Okay? But nonetheless, like I said, I mean, this whole thing for Kawhi has been a disaster, the way it's gone about. All right? If I got to call it, I mean, the dude's going to be signing with Adidas next season, I guess. He's going to be getting an endorsement deal there. That's not news or anything like that. That's just something in my opinion. All right? But either way, man, I mean, yeah, Kawhi Leonard, I don't think he's the fan favorite anymore. Okay? I think people have seen how the situation has gone about and think, you know what? Maybe Kawhi hasn't won exactly I thought he was. Okay? But either way, I mean, seeing him play for Toronto is going to be fun. And there always is the possibility he does end up re-signing with Toronto. And if he does end up extending with Toronto, great deal for the Raptors. Okay? But until then, we won't know. All right? I mean, would you consider this a great trade for the Raptors if they end up winning the title and Kawhi ends up leaving still? Because if that happens, they go back down to the dumpster. All right? I don't know. It's a question that you got to ask yourself. Okay? But either way, that's all I got to say about that. We're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we'll be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. All right, now we talk about anything else going on in the world of sports. I saw Nick Saban's name come up today. I mean, there's no news on Nick Saban or anything like that, but nonetheless, they're going to have a quarterback competition for who's getting the starting job this season. All right. It's going to be between, obviously, Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa, or however you pronounce his last name. I'm still struggling with that. All right. And my just whole thing here is there really a, how do you say, QB competition there? All right. I mean, we saw all last season. Jalen Hurts is an athlete. He's not a quarterback. Okay. And then we saw in the national title game, Tua is a definite solid quarterback. All right. And I don't want to, how do you say, get too hyped up off of a small sample size or anything like that. But nonetheless, I mean, Tua could end up being one of the greatest quarterbacks for Alabama. All right. I mean, he was that good against Georgia. I mean, what? His competition is A.J. McCarron, Greg McElroy. I mean, come on now. Okay? A.J. McCarron, I think, is the only Alabama quarterback who's ever done anything in the NFL, and he's barely even played. Okay? Let me see if I can find the Alabama NFL quarterbacks. All right? Because that will actually be pretty fun to look at. So let's see. Ken Stabler, Joe Namath. I was wrong. All right. Ken Stabler was a guy who no one really talks too much about. Okay. Let's see. Any other big name quarterbacks from Alabama that in the NFL? I mean, literally from the 2000s on, there's no one notable besides A.J. McCarron. And even then, I mean, like I said, he hasn't done a thing in the NFL so far. Okay. Mike Shula, Don Shula's kid, played quarterback for the NFL. Richard Todd was a first-round pick. He never did anything. Like I said, you got Ken Stabler and Joe Namath. Bart Starr. All right, Bart Starr played for Alabama. So yeah, Bart Starr, Joe Namath, and Ken Stabler are the best Alabama quarterbacks, and anything after 1968 has been terrible as far as in the NFL. All right. Tua Tagovailoa could end up just being the fourth greatest quarterback in Alabama history. All right. But nonetheless, I mean, I don't see there really being a real quarterback competition. I think we know who the better quarterback is. Okay? But either way, I just wanted to give some thoughts on that. And I've been paying attention to Ravens training camp mainly because that's one of the only few training camps that are going right now with their veterans out there. I would not be surprised, okay, if Lamar Jackson somehow ends up stealing that starting job from Joe Flacco. Okay, I'm not saying it's going to happen, and I doubt it'll happen, but nonetheless, from what I've been seeing and what people have been saying and all that as far as how Lamar Jackson has been playing, and it is training camp and it is early, and I do need to pump my brakes a bit here as far as pumping up Lamar Jackson a bit because I do need to see him in a game, all right? But for what everyone has said, I mean, he's ahead of the curve. He's playing well. I mean, he's outperforming everything. Okay? Obviously, Joe Flacco is getting paid a bunch of money this season, but nonetheless, I mean, so is Tony Romo, so is Matt Flynn. Okay? I mean, you can lose your job instantly if the guy behind you is better. Okay? We saw Russell Wilson. I mean, that year, like I said, they signed Matt Flynn. He was supposed to be their quarterback of the future. Russell Wilson was a third-round pick, nonetheless outperformed in preseason and training camp, got the starting job. All right? Look at them now. Super Bowl champs, went another year. Pete Carroll decided to... I don't even want to talk about that play. All right? But either way, there's that. Dak Prescott, a couple years ago. I mean, we saw him lighting it up in training camp and preseason. All right? He wasn't going to take the job from Tony Romo. Nonetheless, Romo ends up getting hurt. That's all she wrote for Romo's career. It's done. Okay, and I feel like I'm missing one other one that's recent that took over. But nonetheless, it seems like we're kind of on that direction with Lamar Jackson. Okay? If he is outperforming Flacco in preseason and training camp, how is he not your starter week one? Okay? Honestly, you got to ask yourself that question. I mean, it's a solid question to ask there. All right, and like I said, I doubt that he'll be the starter week one, but nonetheless... it is starting to look like kind of those past things where you got the rookie or whatever pretty much showing that, yeah, I need to be the starter. Okay? And it'd be a shame if Jackson did outperform Flacco and all that, and they still made Flacco the starting quarterback. I mean, I get you're paying him money and all that, and like I said, I highly doubt it happens, but nonetheless, you need to go with the best out there. All right? Ravens are a team who should be in the playoffs regularly. Okay? But the last few years, haven't been. All right, so we'll see what ends up happening there. Nonetheless, that is something to keep your eye on. And I mean, Lamar Jackson, going into the draft, he probably was the most talented quarterback as far as everything that he could do. I mean, of course, Bill Polian thought he should play receiver, which was ridiculous in itself, that comment. But, I mean, Lamar Jackson was a great quarterback at Louisville. Okay? And at Louisville, he was running a pro-style offense, and that's why he's ahead of the curve right now. Okay? And I mean, over in Arizona, there's a possibility that maybe Josh Rosen ends up starting week one too. All right? Like I said, I get that you want to develop these players, but if they're better than the guy you got ahead of them, there's no point in starting the other guy. All right, start the one that's the best. That's the way it should be. All right. That's all I got to say about that right now. Let's see anything else going on in the world of sports. Pretty quiet. Okay, let's see what games we got going on today in the MLB. All right, and then we'll check these standings since we didn't do that in the first segment. So, the Marlins and Braves already played earlier. Let's see, the Marlins won that one 9-3. We got the Reds and Cardinals continuing their series. Same with the Red Sox, Orioles, Dodgers, Phillies, Twins, Blue Jays, Pirates, Indians once again, Padres, Mets, Yankees, Rays, A's, Rangers, Diamondbacks, Cubs, Nationals, Brewers, Tigers, Royals, Astros, Rockies, and then the White Sox, Angels, and then we got the Giants and Mariners today. All right, let's look at these standings, see what it's looking like for an update. So like I said, Red Sox 6 games up on the Yankees in the AL East. The Indians, they're still leading their division. Okay, Astros up 5 on the Mariners. NL East, you got the Phillies who are a half game up on the Braves. Remember when Philly fans were calling for Gabe Kapler's job to start the season? Philly fans, not the best. All right. Cubs are up 2.5 games on the Brewers in the NL Central, and then the NL West, you got the Dodgers who are a game and a half up on the Diamondbacks, 2.5 up on the Rockies, and 5.5 up on the Giants. All right, let's look at that wild card race for both leagues. Let's see, New York, they're going to take that first wild card spot unless they end up catching Boston, and if that ends up happening, then Boston will take that first spot. Mariners now only 2.5 games up on the A's. All right, so the A's continuing to close that gap. All right, Brewers hold the first wild card spot in the National League. You got the Braves who are a half game up on the Diamondbacks, game and a half up on the Rockies. Look at the Pirates making a bit of a run, 3.5 back of the Braves, and then the Giants are 4.5 back there. All right, so that's your update. We're going to wrap it up here. Today we talked Gary Sanchez, we talked Todd Gurley, Julio Jones, Le'Veon Bell, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Love, and then for this segment, we talked about Alabama's little quarterback competition, Lamar Jackson, and gave an update on the MLB standings. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. I will be back tomorrow, so stay tuned, and I will talk to you guys later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.